Happy Friday, everybody. It's Jamie Green, the Solar Queen, and I am coming live today. And I'm not doing my normal Kickstart Conversation show today because I'm gonna do that tomorrow with my guest Heather Anderson. It just worked out better for both of us to be able to do it tomorrow. So make sure you tune in tomorrow if you want to learn how a single woman, not a single woman, oh, an individual has grown a Facebook club to be over 30,000 people, moms in the Bay Area and everything. She's going to come on tomorrow. Heather Anderson, the CEO and founder of the Mamahood, and also the club, which is a part of the Mamahood, who they're all the business owners and entrepreneurs that make up the club. So Heather's going to come on tomorrow, but today I want to talk about what's going on in Texas with all this crazy weather and what's going on with their utilities and what homeowners in Texas and business owners in Texas can do to create immunity from power cuts that are beyond their control. Like we in California face this. We're facing this right now in terms of a state. In that, when the wildfires season starts, we all get these notifications. That our power could be cut if there's a red flag warning or a high wind in effect warning, and they want to be preemptive or be prepared and to at least keep the grid from power lines coming down because of high winds and causing wildfires. I don't know if you've noticed, if you live in California, but all the tree cutting services are being employed to cut back tree branches from power lines, which is a good thing, but that's not going to be enough. Like, we still need our infrastructure to be updated and all that good stuff. So we in California are a little bit more prepared for things like power. It's called a public safety power shutoff. And they do that if there's a red flag warning or if there's high winds and whatnot. And so Californians kind of are, I don't want to say accustomed, but at least forewarned that this could happen. So solar is a wonderful option to be able to power our lives, and not depend on the utility company so much for our energy. But when those power safety shutoffs happen, our solar systems shut down for safety purposes too, unless you have a backup generator to your house or unless you have a backup battery. And so one of the things with backup batteries is that technology is improving in terms of capacity of batteries, storage, but also they're still kind of expensive. So my fingers are crossed that the pricing in the batteries are going to come down. But what's going on in Texas, where they were not prepared for this weather, the extreme temperatures and the snow and the ice and all this power cut. I've been reading a little bit and watching the news a little bit about what's going on in Texas, but much of Texas is deregulated, which means they are not, like, there's no monopoly of a utility company. So think of PG&E, think of Duke Energy, think of, I know Excel is in New Mexico, parts of Colorado, and whatnot. But a lot of utilities, they are big monopolies that kind of take over. Like, for instance, PG&E, Southern California Edison, they service and they maintain the transmission lines and distribution and do the generation, the energy generation. That's what the utility company is for. But my understanding about Texas is that Texas has deregulated itself because Texans, they like their independence. But what's happened is when they have these little co-ops, they are all working to get the homeowners to be a part of their co-op, and they really negotiate prices down. But when something like this happens and they can't get energy from other parts of the nation, they don't have power. And I was reading that some of these wind turbines are freezing up because they're not winterized. They're not used to freezing temperatures or snowstorms like they are in the northern part of the United States, where they are more accustomed to cold weather and freezing temperatures and snow. So they are not winterized. So they're not, the wind turbines aren't going. I know Texas is adopting solar, but not as fast or as quickly as Californians are. But I think it's starting to create the conversation of, oh my gosh, I should probably get solar. And oh my gosh, I should probably get solar with a backup generator. Or maybe they don't get solar and they just get a backup generator. You could do that too, but you just got to be able to get to you got to be able to fuel the generator as well. So when you're in a situation like this, the best situation is to have solar power for your home, a backup battery, and then quite frankly, you should also have a generator. If you are going to be in this situation with the way that the utilities are working in the state of Texas, because people are without heat because the gas can't get gas to the homes and heat up the homes and whatnot. And the power lines are there's no power being generated. They are restoring it and everything, but it's going to take time. And I'm just going to be so curious to see what some of these people's utility bills are. If you live in Texas, I want to see them. I want to see what your utility bills are for what's going on right now. I had a friend, he reached out to me, he lives in Texas, about wanting to get solar in his house. So the best thing is to get solar. If you really, really crave that energy independence, the best thing to do is to get solar on your rooftop. The second best thing is to get a backup battery to store up any unused energy during the day that your solar system is generating. Use that at nighttime. If there's a power cut, and there's snow on your rooftop and snow on your panels, they're not going to be generating as much energy, which also means they're not going to be generating as much energy to store up in your battery. So the batteries, if there's snow piled on the solar panels, it might take a little while for the snow to slide off and then your system start generating more energy. The third alternative is to do it all and get a main transfer switch that would tie into your main panel, so that if you need to turn off your solar system and your backup battery to your house, you have a backup generator as a backup plan. The cool thing about backup generators, you can get generators that are, installed on a slab and permitted and all that good stuff to be a whole house generator backup solution. And you can just literally flip the switch on the main transfer switch, turn on your generator, and you have safe power generating into your home through the generator, and it will not affect your solar system or your backup battery. That main transfer switch is really, really important, because if the power lines if it's not on and your generator's going and the power lines get re-energized, and you could just really do a lot of damage to your home. So that is, for people in Texas or any place out. Well, no, it's just really Texas because of the deregulated energy markets there. That is kind of the thing that you would want to think about for if this happens again in the future. Because I'm not sure how quickly Texas is what Texas will do after this crisis. I read an article last night that they weren't even sure if they were going to be able to get energy back to the grid at all, which is a scary thing to think about. Like, how long would it take to get power restored to the whole state of Texas? So that is what I wanted to say about Texas and my understanding of what's going on there in that great state, and the snowstorm. And everyone, if you're watching and you're from Texas, my thoughts and prayers go out to you guys. I'm hoping that you're staying warm and safe, and warm and safe, and you get power restored. I know some people are getting power restored at their homes, and that's really good. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about today was, let's talk about the installation process, because I know on the show I've talked a lot about kind of how solar works and what this and that, and I can talk about how solar works. Basically, the solar panels go on your roof, the sun hits the solar panels, the panels generate DC energy. It goes out to conduit, it goes through conduit and transfers into your inverter, where an inverter will convert the energy into usable energy in your house, immediately. So our house today, it's partly cloudy. We're being partially powered by the sun, as well as pulling some energy from the grid. That is called grid tied solar. And when Yeah, so when you have solar and no battery, that's how it works. Any excess energy is going to go out to the grid. The utility is going to sell it. They're going to give you a credit. So that, and then you're going to use that credit later on at nighttime. So that's really, in a nutshell, net energy metering is really how solar power works in terms of solar energy. Like, you have all the components, but net energy metering agreement between you and the utility company. When you're overproducing energy during the day, it's going out to the grid. You're going to get a credit and you can use it at nighttime. The thing is, though, sometimes it's not a direct one-to-one ratio. Like, it's not the same kilowatt hour value during what is called non-peak and then peak time. Peak time is from 4 to 9 p.m. So we try and reduce our energy consumption between 4 and 9 p.m., meaning we don't run our dishwasher during that time. We don't do laundry. We do all the things. Like, the only thing that we're going to be using at that time is lights and probably anything that we're using for cooking, because we have electric stove top. And I use my Instant Pot and I use my smart oven. I use my smart oven instead of my conventional oven, and I love it. So, and it uses less power and it cooks everything faster. So that's really what it is. And then any excess energy that you have stored up during that day, you're going to use it at nighttime, but they're going to, anytime between 4 and 9, it's like a 1 to 0.85 ratio at this point in time. So that's, in a nutshell, how solar power works. But what's the installation process like? It's been such an interesting journey for myself for the last 2 years. And if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer those questions here today on the show. But the process, when you start working with me as your solar consultant, either for residential or for commercial, it really starts with a fact finding or asking questions about your energy usage, how your house is configured in terms of your appliances. Like, do you have a gas stove or do you have a gas cooktop? Do you have a gas dryer or an electric dryer? Do you have an electric car? Are you planning on getting an electric car? What's the condition of your roof? What kind of main panel do you have? What's the ampage of this? It's a time to really gather all the information that is needed to really assess and analyze how much energy you're going to need for your home and how many solar panels it's going to take to do that. So the first process is that it's really just that fact finding. And it's also the time that I would collect a utility bill from you. And the reason for that is to see, how much energy you're using, to be able to call into the utility and find out the full historic 12 months of usage, so that when I go to put together your solar system proposal, it's reflective of what's going to be happening, not from just the last 12 months, but what's going to be happening going forward. COVID really changed the way this year's consumption, like, everyone's been at home. I guess that was last year. We're in 2021 now. But that has really changed people's consumptions. And right now we're having that conversation of what's going to happen in the next year or two. Because I kind of foresee still that people are going to be working from home and school is going to be from home for at least another 9 months to a year. So that's the first process. Then once we go through your proposal and everything looks good and you're ready to go solar, we sign a solar agreement. I set you up with your financing if that's what you want to do. If you want to finance your solar system, which you can do for nothing out of pocket. So when you see Facebook ads that say no cost solar or zero down solar or free solar, yes, the energy is free, but you still have to pay for the equipment or you have to lease the equipment. And when you finance it, it really is nothing out of your pocket. So to make the switch from traditional energy with the utility company over to solar, it is no cost to you so long as you qualify for financing. And the really great thing, in case you're wanting to know, the FICO score, that's the minimum FICO score, is 640 for your FICO score, and then on up, which is great. So it's really the solar lending companies are taking into consideration everything that's happened in the last year with COVID and people's situation, and just giving some more buffer for people to get qualified. So once all that happens, after everything's signed, there's a really long document called the California Public Utility Commissioners consumer protection guide. It outlines everything you should know about going solar. They want you to sign that first. So you sign that first, and then you sign the solar agreement with the solar company. You sign the net energy metering agreement with the utility company, and then also the loan documents. So that's all very important. As soon as those are submitted to the solar company, then you get scheduled for site survey. And site survey is when the installer comes out to your home. They check out your roof, they check out your main panel, they check out shading, they check everything out. They take pictures, they take measurements, they, look and make sure that the proposed layout can be supported. If not, they're going to come back and they're going to make, alternative drawings that you, of course, as a homeowner, are going to be able to evaluate and sign off and make sure you approve of that. Once a site survey happens, then they go back, the installer is going to go back and they're going to put together engineered drawings. So these are like really long engineered CAD drawings and electrical drawings that are drawn up. And then you get, as a homeowner, you get to review it and make sure everything and the layout looks good, because once those get approved by you, they go off to the permitting department. So here's one spot where you might see delays is in your local authority, the jurisdictions. This is called the planning department or the building department that are going to look over the plans. I have one homeowner that it's taken more than 4 months to get permits. And it's taking so long because the city has just not adjusted to COVID and people working from home and everything. So that is very rare, but in the big cities like San Jose, like Oakland, like San Francisco, it's going to take a lot longer than some of the smaller cities that have not as many people to service in counties that are smaller at the county level. But typically the permitting process shouldn't take very long. Technically, it's supposed to be expedited, but that's just not happening right now in the times of COVID. So that permitting process can take, anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. Like I said, I have one homeowner, that is just taking forever to get permitting from the city. Once the permits are in hand, the next step would be to get the solar installed. And if you're getting a main panel upgrade, depending on the utility and where things are at with the utility is going to be the one that if you need a main panel upgrade, it's got to be coordinated and scheduled with the utility. We can't do anything about expediting that. It's all based on the availability of the utility company to do what's called a disconnect. So you have to have your power shut down for safety purposes for the main panel to be upgraded. Say you have an old 100 amp panel, like a Zinsco, which is actually like it's a mandatory upgrade. You're going to get a new main panel upgraded to a 125, 150, probably 200 if we can, to a 200 amp panel to be able, and especially if you have a system that's a certain size, it's going to automatically be a 200 amp main panel upgrade. But that is reliant upon the utility company to tell the solar installation installers when they can do that, and they'll get it on the schedule. And right now with PG&E, it's like a month to 2 months out. So if you are a homeowner and you're looking at solar, just know that main panel upgrades can add another month, 4 to 8 weeks to your solar installation project, because it's all tied in together. It's not the solar installation company's fault, it's the utilities. And I don't want to say fault, but it is the utility companies that says when that can happen. So as soon as that gets like a date gets approved by the utility company, we like to try and get the installation and the MPU done on the same day. I had a homeowner where it was supposed to happen on the same day, and the utility canceled the MPU, which just meant canceled the disconnect and the reconnect for the homeowner. And when all is said and done, they'll have waited 3.5 weeks. So they got the solar installed, but they have to wait for the MPU to be completed before they can then have, after that's all done, after solar is installed and after the MPU is done, then it goes back to the city for final inspection. And there's some new laws that have been coming out, and I've been having some people fail inspections because the installers are not 100% up to date on some of these new laws that have been passed as of January 1st. I think they're all kind of getting informed on some of these new laws that were passed and like through the building code and department and whatnot. But one of them, for instance, is to ground the water heater. It's never been an issue before. So I've had a couple where that was never an issue. That was never a requirement, but now it is. So final inspection usually passes again with flying colors, but there's been some hiccups and it is what it is. So this whole process should take 90 to 120 days if everything goes according to schedule and to plan in a very ideal situation. But we're not in an ideal situation right now with COVID, with the winter storms, especially what's going on with Texas. Yeah, you might say, Jamie, let's get solar. I want solar right now. But if you need a main panel upgrade and you need some things done, it might take a little bit longer because right now Texas is kind of in a state of emergency with getting the power grid back up and running. When we had our windstorm here in California a few weeks ago, that's the reason why this homeowner's MPU got canceled, was because they had to go, it was all hands on deck to go out and repair down power lines and transformers that had blown, things like that. So there are things that are beyond our control, but in a perfect world, in a perfect scenario, it would take 90 to 120 days at the very latest, longest for the whole process. Because once the final inspection happens, then we're on the home stretch to getting PTO. So the permission to operate with utility. Again, we're depending on the utility company to grant that permission to operate to the installer on behalf of the homeowner. So that's the final piece of the pie. And there are times that it gets delayed. I've seen PTO in as soon as 3 days, as early as 3 days. Actually, the record PTO was 1 day after final inspection. That has only happened once. And that was pretty fantastic. But on average, it's 2 to 3 weeks for PTO, but I have seen it take months to get PTO. And that's usually because there is a type error in the application. And PG&E especially makes it very difficult for that stuff to get revised and finished and pushed along. So I wanted to share the process. You understand what to expect when you go solar. Some places take less time than 3 months. That's very rare. If you are a business and you're getting solar installed, it might take 3 to 6 months, depending on how, all the things that we have to go through in terms of your engineered drawings and the actual installation, how large of a system you're having put in. If you're having, ground mounts put in, that can also cause a delay. So there's all these different scenarios where the timeline could take a little bit longer. So when you go solar this year, what I'm going to ask for you, if you go solar with me and if you go solar with someone else, the communication is key to set the expectations, to make sure that, we're communicating back and forth, and then communicating with the installer on expectations. All those expectations are set and whatnot. Because as long as everyone's on the same page, hopefully all goes well and installations happen on a timely, on a timely basis, I guess. But really, it's just been a different year this year, for sure. So for all you Texans who are watching, I have a lot of friends in Texas. I hope you guys are staying safe and warm and you're getting your power restored to your home. If you have a generator, I'm happy for you. I'm sure the generator companies are going to be blowing up with sales. It's so funny because I was at Costco this winter and there were so many generators that they have pre-ordered all these generators, but they weren't flying off the shelf like they were still on the shelf. So, you can get generators and whatnot, but Generac, I know, is a really big generator manufacturer. I'm sure they're going to be having orders coming through for Texans and even for Californians who don't want to get a backup battery. because there's, backup batteries right now are hard to come by, believe it or not. But there are more batteries coming to the market that have higher capacity of storage, and more, more manufacturers coming out with batteries. So I'm excited to see what happens within the battery world. Tesla batteries and LG batteries and in-phase batteries. Generac has a battery. So there's lots of different options. So if you're interested in solar for your home and you're in Texas, please reach out to me. We can at least start the conversation and take a look at what would be required for you to go solar in your home. And then same with anybody here in California, Florida, all up and down the Eastern Seaboard, the Southwest, and parts of the Midwest. I can also help too. So I want to help you guys gain more energy independence, especially for like things that are happening in Texas, things that have happened here in California where power has been cut and you don't have any control of it. Or if you're just really tired of the monopoly that the utility companies are and you want energy independence, going solar is your first step to doing it. So I encourage you all to do that. And because I just know it's way cheaper than what you're paying the utility company. So I like to help homeowners save money. And who doesn't want to save money right now? Right now, especially if any of you have been furloughed or have seen job reductions or even a job loss, I'd love to help you guys save money on your energy costs, because it's one thing you can't escape unless you go solar, is you can't escape your energy costs. Just like you can't escape taxes and you can't escape death. So, but with solar, you can escape that. So yes, I would love to help you. If you're a business owner, if you are an employee of a business and they use a lot of energy, go talk to that finance manager or general manager or, the director of finance and say, hey, I watched Jamie Green, the Solar Queen, and she is talking about how going solar will save the company money. It will save the company a lot of money. And then same with your household. So that is it, guys. I hope that you have a wonderful Friday afternoon, a wonderful weekend. I'm happy. I helped a homeowner go solar this morning and earlier this week, and I'm going to go meet with another homeowner this evening to talk about solar for their home. And I love helping you guys. So please reach out to me if you are interested in solar for your home. Here's my email address. I'm putting it into the chat for you guys. Jamie at jamiegreenthesolarqueen.com. You can reach out to me that way. Here we go. Here it is. And I'll even show it. There you go. Jamie at jamiegreenthesolarqueen.com. And if you want it for your business, you can send an email to Jamie at excelsiorsolar.com. So here we go. Here's the other one. That is for people that have businesses, warehouses, vineyards are a wonderful thing because I have some amazing technology that takes up very little lands, real estate for solar, and you can still use all the land. You don't have to have a fixed ground mount that takes up a lot of the land and makes it unusable. So it's really great, especially for farmers, anyone who has a farm and uses a lot of energy. My goodness, you're going to put so much money back into your business rather than giving it over to the utility company. So yeah, there you have it, guys. I hope you have a great one. I'll see you tomorrow. If you want to join in tomorrow at 2:00, I'm going to be interviewing Heather Anderson. Heather Anderson tomorrow at 2:00. She is the founder and CEO of the Mamahood and the Club. She has grown her Facebook group to over 30,000 people, and she's just an amazing, amazing woman. And very talented, by the way, very creative and very talented. She's going to be on tomorrow at 2:00 here with me on Kickstart Conversations, and I will see you all then. So take care, guys, and message me if you have any questions.